Hey, I'm Adam Avery, owner and founder of Avery Brewing Company, and we are here in beautiful Boulder, Colorado, and you're watching the Beer Diaries. Here we go.
Hey.
Greg, how's it going?
I'm great, Phil. How are you?
Doing well. Great to see you.
We are at Avery.
We are at Avery.
And we're going to see some awesome stuff. I mean, the tap room you run, we're going to get some beers, maybe?
Oh, absolutely. I say we go grab a beer, and then I'd love to take you around our brewing facility and show you how we make it happen.
Sounds delicious. Let's roll, man.
Perfect.
Cool.
Sure.
Thanks, sir. Absolutely.
Sweet. Well, we've got 20 beers on tap. What'll you have?
I'll go to the Karma. That's your seasonal, like spring seasonal. It's a Belgian Pale.
I think I'm going to keep it classic, and I'm going to go with an IPA. Thank you, sir.
Cheers. Let us continue our tour.
Absolutely. Follow me.
All right. So what are these giant chrome tanks? What's the deal here?
Yeah, so what you're looking at are fermentation tanks. You can see that we have very limited resources here, and so we have to have our tanks outside.
Yeah.
And what's neat about these tanks is during fermentation, temperature is really important. And if we're going to have tanks outside, then we probably should have a pretty nice insulation system on these tanks. And so they have a dry insulation that's rated R40, which is the highest quality insulation you can get. And then behind that is what we call a glycol jacket.
Oh, yeah.
Glycol is basically like food grade antifreeze, and it will actually allow us to control the temperature inside all of our tanks within 1/10 of 1 degree Fahrenheit. These are all 240
So
barrel
all these
tanks.
are 240s, wow.
Yes, and there are 31 US gallons in a barrel. So if you multiply that out, we could figure out exactly how many bottles and pints would come from each one of these tanks. I would imagine that there's more beer in each one of these tanks than any human could consume in a lifetime.
So what's next on the agenda?
Probably just the Brewhouse.
All right. So this is the Brewhouse?
This is the Brewhouse. This is our only location. So this is where all of the magic happens. We sell beer in 25 states. We ship sometimes to Denmark, sometimes to Sweden. And every single beer that gets an Avery logo was brewed in this one brew house on that one system. The process, it starts with the silos outside. We'll pull grain over the top of the building. It gets milled or ground up there.
So that's the kind of the grist mill is in there.
The mill's up there, and then after the grain gets cracked open, it gets augered out of the bottom side, and then it goes into our mash tun. While we're in this room, another cool piece of equipment is right in the back there, and that's our centrifuge.
So the centrifuge, maybe tell the viewers, it's a pretty crazy, epic piece of equipment. Like there's not many, most breweries don't have this.
What's unique about our centrifuge is that we had a few parts on it custom designed so that we can use our centrifuge for filtration. The way I always explain a centrifuge to people is it's kind of like the Gravitron that you see at the state fair, where they spin you around, they drop the floor, and you stick to the wall.
Yeah.
Well, we're doing that with beer. It just creates so much G-force that it'll pull haze-causing solid matter out of the beer.
All the particulates you don't want in it.
Yes.
Like to make a super clear beer like this,
exactly.
You got to centrifuge this to get like it just like crystal clear.
And it's really, really good for beers like Maharajah, our Imperial IPA. The dry pelletized hops will soak up a lot of beer. And guess where the hoppiest beer is? Well, it's soaked in those hops.
Yeah.
So when we use that centrifuge, we squeeze it, you got it.
I've heard people say that centrifuges lead to way better quality beer as well,
Absolutely.
like better flavors. So.
Absolutely. And here, the most important piece of equipment in here, aside from the tanks of beer, fermenting away those delicious treats, is the yeast propagation system. A beautiful piece of technology that will actually dose the yeast with the right amount of oxygen at very specific times.
Oh, really? So it's like, that's crazy.
Because yeast is one of those weird organisms that can operate with or without oxygen.
Yeah, it kind of turns on and off, and like it'll clump up or it'll fall apart and start working again. It's a pretty crazy.
Exactly. And so when we want to grow more yeast, we give it an oxygen-rich environment, and then that's when we're growing our yeast. Then we'll pitch it into the tanks. The oxygen's gone, then it starts fermentation.
Right. You should call this Zymergy tank.
We should call it Zymergy tank.
The magic of Zymergy happens here, so you can look that one up on the internet. But cool. What else should we see? What's next on the?
I think next we should probably take a look at the lab. Sweet. Well, welcome to our lab.
Deep in the heart of the lab where a lot of the quality control takes place. There's crazy equipment in here. It looks pretty wild. Like, what kind of things are going on?
There's a lot of things going on in this room, actually. The lab makes the call for the beer throughout the entire process. So once it's brewed, they monitor it and they give the thumbs up for it to move it to the next step in the process. So in here we have a lot of different equipment that just checks on the beer at different points throughout the fermentation process. We've got a salometer. We just came from the yeast propagation tank. Well, in here they can measure how much of the yeast is alive and how healthy that yeast is.
Right.
We've got a spectrophotometer that allows us to measure IBUs, colors in the beer, all kinds of fancy tools.
Phil, what next?
I think we should take a look at the bottling line. Sweet. Just inside here to our bottling line.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, like, look at this machinery. Looks like it's insanely complex.
When we're in full swing, we can fill a 12-ounce bottle on this equipment in 1.37 seconds. So that filler is a 16-head filler. It will actually purge the bottles with carbon dioxide. That's really good for beer. Create a vacuum, suck it all out, give it even more CO2 just to be on the safe side. We suck that out. We pressurize it with CO2, and then we fill the bottle.
So really what that does, that prevents oxidation. I mean, like, so there's almost like no oxygen in these bottles because of that process.
We've gotten rid of all the oxygen, and it's ready to get a label. What's unique about our labeler is that it does a normal label as well as the foils that go on top of the bombers.
Oh, yeah. So for things like the Dictator series.
The Dictator series, like the Maharajah.
Holy Trinity.
The Hog Heaven is part of the Holy Trinity.
Yeah.
And so when we run those bottles through this line, we can put foils on the top, and then we have a beautiful looking bottle of beer. This is probably one of the more special parts of the brewery, because out here is where I think you really get to experience what we know, love, and believe in. You know, you see our regular beers out in the market, and we're happy to do those, but this represents the art side of what we're doing here. And it's truly experimental. Everything out here is definitely very unique, and anything goes out here. We work with American oak, French oak, Caribbean oak.
Tequila.
Yeah.
Well, Rom, I mean, I met Andy earlier. Andy's the dude that, this is his.
Absolutely. Andy's senior brewer here, and he's in charge of the barrel aging program.
And it was so exciting talking to him. We tried a few things out of barrels. It was like the one, you know, as a beer drinker and someone who likes like wild, sour, and other beers, it's the most amazing experience to sit there with the person that's like kind of mixing these things, you know, developing them to be able to try them. So in other words, you actually give your fans an opportunity to come here and have, when you guys say they're ready to go, they can come into this very room and try that beer. They
will be surrounded by the barrels that went into making those beers. And we're actually really fortunate to have Andy Parker, who is a really neat thing that he does with these barrels, because he's not afraid. You know, a lot of times you'll see bourbon barrel aged beers, and I think the craft brewing industry has embraced that so much, and it's such a cool thing that, you know, it becomes a little less common that you see a tequila barrel
it becomes almost not
red
cliche,
wine barrel.
Not cliche, but like you said, like it's interesting. Bourbon barrels have kind of become common, whereas all these other things are way more rare.
It's when you are experimenting with these different vessels that you really start to learn a lot. And, you know, it is experimentation. Sometimes we, you know, hit it on the head, and sometimes it's like, you know, we're thinking that was worth a try, but maybe we're not going to put that into the bottle. And that's the fun and the beauty about what's going on in this room. Each one of these barrels is its own biosphere. It's its own little life form, and there's so much that's going on inside these barrels, some of which we have control over, and some of which we're just at the whim of the barrel.
No, that's awesome. So thank you. I mean, this has been amazing. Finishing here, I mean, you've been an awesome host.
Awesome guest.
Well, we have a little bit of beer left. So
this is a sin around this brewery.
Thank you so much, folks. I mean, we're going to move on to some interviews, but this has been amazing. So cheers. Hey, folks. I'm Greg from the Beer Diaries. We are here with a very special day here at Avery Brewing here in Boulder, Colorado. We are having an amazing time meeting with Truck, the head brewer. We got a bunch of beers.
So far, so good.
So far, really good. And I think it's just going to get better because we have to try all these beers.
Yeah.
You've been here 10 years. Avery's been, like, this year's the 20th anniversary.
Yep, in August.
What's the 10 years you've been here been like?
Tremendous growth. A lot of change. A lot of core values have stayed the same. But, you know, when I started, I was the 8th employee. Now we're up to 84.
Right.
And, you know, seeing that many people, and, you know, we call it the red tables. That's outside.
Oh, yeah.
And where we all hang out. You know, everyone sits there, whether you're in packaging, in the brew house, in the tap room, in sales or marketing. We all sit together and drink.
So it's like a real communal family atmosphere.
Yeah, it's just really cool. And I mean, earlier you met the owners today. It's still family owned, father son
They're
team.
super. I mean, they're super nice. Yeah, it's amazing to see the history. Like I think that's one of the interesting things is, you know, brewery going for 20 years and where it came from and the people that really made it happen is really exciting. I mean, one of the things I always ask folks is how do you get into this? And I think, you know, you were a teacher before.
I was a fifth grade math and science teacher for 4 to 5 years. During that entire time, I was homebrewing, and eventually, I just really fell in love with beer.
And then St.
Yeah.
Arnold's. I mean, because like, you know, anyone from Texas knows St. Arnold. I mean, they're the oldest craft brewery in Texas. They have a very big footprint.
Long story short, I bugged Brock Wagner enough that he allowed me to come in, start using a squeegee on the floors. Then I was cleaning cask, and then crazily enough, the BA Forum had a posting for a brewer job here, and at that point at St. Arnold, I was mashing in when Steve Breesley, the director of operations, had called St. Arnold and was asking about my credentials. So
okay. So you're just getting started.
Yeah, rather serendipitous how it all worked out.
And so you moved out here, and that was 10 years ago then, was it?
Yep. Yeah, 10 years this August.
And so wild ride since you've been here.
Completely wild ride.
One of the other really exciting things is you guys got a big plan for growth in the future. I mean, there's a new location.
Oh yeah, the new facility. I mean, as said by the director of operations, it's the nightmare we've all been dreaming of, you know, getting there. So, you know, it's a full build out. It's a $22 million project. You know, the brewery will be 10 times the size of what this brewery can produce.
Well, I think that's the exciting thing about that too is I think as we talked about, I mean, you got this great bunch of people that are all going to go over there and kind of learn a whole bunch of new things. I mean, that's one of the wonderful things about coming here is everyone's so nice. It's kind of, you know, it's always kind of uncanny.
It's rather jovial, isn't it?
Well, it's jovial. Folks are real accommodating. I mean, we go around sticking our nose in places, and you know, everyone's really nice and like really happy to show what they do. Maybe talk a little bit about the layout. The layout's pretty interesting. Like I think, how did it start and how's it expanded? We're in something right now. What is the thing we're in?
So how not to build a brewery 101.
All right.
Don't start in a garage in an industrial alleyway, because then you'll acquire another garage and another and another, and now we've got like 8 garages. All down
yeah,
it's
like down the line. It's pretty interesting.
We've got one business that's still in between. There's a 2020 sign company. It's Stu and Dennis. They're these old sign guys, and it's like the little sign shop, but they have to deal with beer pipes, CO2 lines, hot water lines, all running through their building. They're stepping over and ducking under every day. Fortunately, they're pretty gracious neighbors, and they drink free beer. So
that's the magic trick. It's like, okay, you'll accommodate this if you show up at the tap room whenever you want.
Oh, throwing a kegger this weekend? We'll help you out.
Yeah, a lot. So, number of barrels you're doing right now. I mean, you're over between 40 and 50,000 right now.
Yeah, we did 41 last year.
And you guys, I mean, and then you said like...
I'm thinking low 50s this year.
Wow.
That's what we're on pace for.
And you're brewing 24/7. This is one of the things that's pretty interesting is like it is round the clock.
It is.
You are cranking away.
It is.
There's big fermenters out front, but it's actually the Brewhouse which is holding you back.
Yes, the Brewhouse right now is a little undersized. Right now it's a 2-vessel brewhouse, so just mash tun, lauter tun, and then whirlpool kettle. We are actually going to decrease our fermentation capacity by pulling a fermenter offline and using it as a wort receiver tank. The brewhouse basically went from 5.5 brews a day to 7 brews a day, just over 7 brews a day.
Right, I'll get you that over 50,000.
But in essence, that fills us another 240, one of those outdoor tanks that you saw, a week. And that's what we need. You know, we can't have tanks sitting empty right now.
Yeah, I mean, you brew so many beers. I mean, one of the interesting challenges, and certainly, of course, doing important research for this, trying lots of beers from Avery.
Research.
You guys could do a ton of beer. Not only do you have like your regular set of beers, you have seasonals on top of that. Then you have these very special lines like the Dictator. I can imagine trying to manage the process of making all these beers being kind of almost impossible. Like, and that's your job, right?
It's a production nightmare, really, to manage it.
Well,
but it makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because you know, any given day you can come down after your shift and then have a different beer.
Well, one thing is about like in the tap room, and we came out here last week to sort of scout out the locations and came into the tap room, and just your jaw drops when you look at those taps. I mean, is it 20?
There's 20 taps and 2 cask lines.
And they're all, and you know, you're familiar with 3/4 of them, and then the other quarters, all kinds of crazy stuff that you can't get anywhere else.
Oh yeah. There's right now, I just counted up in the menu. There's 9 out of the 20 beers that are on the tap wall are tap room only.
So you can't get them
nowhere else.
It was interesting in talking to the folks when we came here last time. I was hearing about your sour program, your wild program. We're in the barrel room. That's where it happens. we don't get many of your sours in Texas. We're like, sours? What sours? And all of a sudden, we go to the tap room and there's this amazing sour on, and we're a few of these bottles up here are some of the sours, and there's a whole bunch of sours in there we were trying earlier out of the barrel.
We make such a limited quantity. We're actually doing a sour run this coming Thursday. We will throw a release party. The line will be out the door. If you're in line, we'll bring you beer. It's pretty cool. I mean, these are special beers. These are beers that have like been back here for anywhere from a year to 3 years.
Yeah.
In true numbers, we dump more than we actually package because we want the best going into a bottle. It's not volume based.
That's one other interesting thing, very interesting thing about the level of sophistication you guys are displaying as a brewery. I mean, you got a centrifuge, you have an incredibly...
We have a lab.
So we saw the folks in the lab, they showed us a bunch of stuff, but from a brewer's perspective, what kind of tools does that give you to
Control.
use?
I mean, that's really what it is. Back to that whole making consistent beer, that's what a lab provides. You know, the more we can share that good practice with everybody else, then the better off we all are. You know, it's like, let's go beyond just guessing at gravities, guessing at temperatures. Those are easy things to do. And, you know, you don't need a salometer like we have, you know, to measure vitality and viability and all that. But you need systems in place in order to make the same beer every time.
Yeah, and I think from a consumer's perspective, that's what they want. They want consistently good beer. I mean, they want to know if they're grabbing the IPA or the White Rascal. It's like the one they had last one that they loved. So
you know, I want that experience. You come in from Georgia, you're having a beer at the tap room. You know, you're on your ski vacation. You go back to Georgia. You buy our beer off the shelf. You should have that experience again.
Yeah. One of the things we ask a little bit about, and I think it's a pretty consistent answer, is the camaraderie among brewers in the state and in our local, like just generally. I mean, you guys
we
all
like to party together.
Well, yeah, you guys all know each other. I mean, it's really funny because if you mention anyone, even like we're talking with some of the Texas guys, you know the Texas guys too. It's like, what's the experience like of working with some of the other guys in the neighborhood, in the state? Like, what's that like?
I think one of the big drive home points is find a buddy. New Belgium has helped us tremendously getting our lab up and running. You know, and then we have helped, say, like Upslope and all that, you know, doing a lot of testing for them. And that's really what it comes down to is like, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we have less than 10% of the market share.
Yeah, nationwide, it's quite far under. It's like 6.5 apparently,
So let's work together. Let's make the best beer we possibly can, and you know, let's hit the people that really enjoy it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Are there any particular beers from the city or state that you really stand out to, like any favorites that you like that you guys don't make?
Dude, the Odell IPA I think is top notch. I think that is an incredible beer.
How about like across the country? Is there any kind of crazy?
I mean, Southern California, of course. I mean, come on. Alpine, pure hoppiness. Yeah, I could spend a lot of time with Pat there, and drinking beer is always good in Alpine.
Oh, cool. Well, speaking of drinking beer, I think why don't we? White Rascal, Mr. Mike Mann's favorite beer, I think.
Oh yeah.
One of them, yeah. He's
we should taunt him with it then.
It's a Belgian Wit.
It is a Belgian Wit. We actually brew it with orange peel, both sweet and bitter, so Curacao and Valencia.
Oh, okay.
And then coriander, and it's the Hoegaarden yeast strain. So
so it really is the Hoegaarden.
Yeah, really authentic, except for probably the spice load. We go kind of heavy. I mean, that's the Avery way, is like, hit you in the face with it.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Right? We don't want subtle. We want to knock you off.
A lot of banana, a lot of...
Yep. There's actually like linalool, if you can imagine, like the yellow Fruit Loops.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So that's actually one of the sort of the phenols that are.
Yeah, that's linalool is actually a compound mostly in hops, but it's also in coriander.
So in terms of this beer too, I mean, I imagine summer sales take off like crazy because this is a fabulous patio beer.
This kind of like you'll see big hits in stout for the winter.
Right.
Big hits for Rascal in the summer.
Right.
You know, the big thing with cans, and you know, I think everyone who is canning beer, craft beer. In America has to thank Oscar Blues for that. They really paved the way for us.
Absolutely.
But you know, for the Colorado rock and roll lifestyle of, you know, wake up, go climb a peak, drink a beer on the top,
that's what I
come
usually
back
do every
home.
morning before I do the show.
So the next one out of the can is the IPA.
So that ends up being like kind of the biggest dog of the can.
A point of pride on this beer is, it's an IPA. Everybody makes an IPA. We've been packaging this since '96.
Wow.
Yeah, we've played around a lot with the hops. Right now we're at about 1.8 pounds per barrel on hops, no dry hop addition.
No dry hops.
Yeah, this is an 11-day beer, all aroma addition in the kettle.
Wow. No, that's pretty amazing actually. Really, I mean, but still very fragrant, very.
Oh yeah. So after the IPA, we should try the Karma, but
I don't.
Oh, that's good Karma.
That is fresh, cold Karma.
So we're looking at a Belgian Pale Ale.
Right.
Belgian yeast, Belgian hops, Belgian malts, but made here with Rocky Mountain water.
Nice.
Think pears, man. Think fruit. When it's all said and done, it's 17 days in a tank instead of like an IPA, which is 11.
Yeah.
Lots of nose.
Yeah,
Lots.
no, and actually, I mean, like you said, like the fruit, like lots of ripe fruit and kind of, again, dry. I mean, like nice and dry finish.
We like dry beers here.
Some Belgian pales are super effervescent, like, you know, like over the top, like just really.
The beauty of it is if you want to see what the carb level is, you can check on the bottle. We actually,
Oh, really?
with our date code, we also put the carb level.
So for those folks that they're watching the Wasteland like me.
Yeah. No, carbonation. I'm sorry. Not carbohydrate.
Actually, I'm watching my carbonation as
The
well. Like,
other
I'm getting
carb.
I drink too much beer, I get overcarbonated.
Yeah. I know the
So
feeling.
actually, you have the volumes listed.
Yeah,
there.
so 2.65.
Oh, okay,
volumes.
cool. That's really interesting. And so, do many people do that? Like, is that
I don't know of another brewery that does.
so? Hog Heaven, as you said, has been going since
98.
98.
So
Fancy
what we're
glass.
looking for on this beer is, as I said earlier, a single malt, CV80, and then a single hop, Columbus.
Columbus. Yes.
So wicked dank.
dank.
Green, resinous.
Oh yeah, super resin on that. It's got such a nice malt backbone that it kind of like, I mean, it's super dank. You're expecting so over the top bitter, and then you get a really balanced. I mean, still pretty juicy finish.
Incredible balance. So.
Yeah, no, it's super balanced.
I mean, it's a quote unquote sweet beer in our world, but it's still
Yeah, I was
like
gonna say, yeah, it's
pushing 100 IBUs.
So this is one you want to have fresh. I mean, that's one of the things that you guys are
Yeah,
about. It's like,
I'm a huge fan of fresh.
Because of the hops too, right? Like if
But
you want
you
that.
know, and there's nothing to be taken away with people wanting to cellar beer or whatever. I understand that. You know, I've done talks on that, and that's fine. But I actually believe fresh beer is the way to go.
So the Maharajah, again, a beer I'm very familiar with, had a number of times. Double IPA or Imperial, which do you prefer to call it? Does it matter to you?
All right,
Like,
this was explained to me by somebody who is in, say, like the middle of California, who makes a lot of these kind of big IPA beers.
Okay.
A double is like that 7.5% to 9% range, and Imperial is beyond. So
I never knew that. I never knew there was a gradation between, like,
take it for what you will.
people
I
use
was
it
just like,
loosely.
okay, cool, got it.
Okay.
I don't believe in beer styles.
So
I just believe in beer.
Yeah. See, we're talking here. Oh, this is an Imperial, 10.4.
It is. Yeah.
I like that.
So this is our Maharajah. It's actually our 5th best seller, and we only sell it 4 months out of the year.
Right.
We just make a lot of it. And we call it Maharajah season because it dictates everyone's life here in production.
Really?
We truly live by that beer. It receives a lot of love.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it really does. There's a couple of glowing qualities with this beer. I think number one, of course, is like the Simcoe hop presence. I don't know if you know Simcoes or not. Some people think juniper trees. Some of us think cat piss. So it'll be interesting. But it's kind of like cilantro and soap.
Not kind of those resinous. I mean, this is when you start getting a little more of the citrus and.
There's some pine.
Yeah, pine. Definitely some pine
Yeah.
for sure. Like, I mean, I always find that's one thing. The hops are so pine-like. Than taste. I recommend to viewers to have the Hog Heaven and then the Maharajah. We'll compare the Maharajah and the Hog Heaven. It's really interesting because I mean you have this and it's a super hoppy beer, but it's got like a much bigger malt kind of profile, kind of balancing things out. Whereas this is not imbalanced, but like you said, it's definitely
And
drier.
it stings.
It gives you a shot. Like so, the sours they've been sitting in these barrels behind us. And these barrels, the contents of these barrels eventually will get their way to that bottle. But after quite a long time, we've been talking about like 11-day, 8-week sort of periods for fermenters. So after the beer's fermented, whatever the length of the fermentation is, they're put in these barrels, and magic happens with bacteria or yeast and different yeasts.
Both, yeah.
Yeah, and it creates these, which are probably almost the pinnacle of beerism.
The one that I pulled out, here it is, Dihos.
Yeah.
Dihos dactylian, that means, well, you're an ex-doctor, right? It's Greek for the lack of your
We don't
middle,
learn that stuff in
the
medicine
tip of your
anymore.
middle finger. So we did that for he's now the Brewhouse manager, Fred Rizzo. He gave a 2 years notice that he was leaving.
2 years.
He and his wife were gonna move back to where they're from, Vermont, and to start a family and all that. And so we built this beer for him.
Wow.
He was one of the original guys that worked in here and did all that. About a month before his 2 years was up, he decided he was going to stay. And he still works here to this day. but we'd already had labels printed, already had gone through like federal approval,
the middle
everything.
the middle finger beer.
It's a beer in his honor, and my personal taste, it's one of my favorite beers we've ever made. So, big sour.
Whew, nice.
But aged in a red wine barrel.
Yeah.
Actually, if I may, so it's aged in Cab Sav barrels. So here is, in honor of Fred, I wrote the sidebar, and it's mumbles, squints, tie-dyed V-necks, pop collars, moccasins, marlin shorts, Vermont, was a butcher, then a brewer, now a quitter. We'll miss you, man. And he's still fucking here.
And he won't leave. Well, maybe he's going to want another beer made in his honor.
That's awesome, huh?
Well, I know it is because the nose tells you it's going to kill you, and then you drink it. It's really balanced. It's really reasonable.
It's got that really like that Belgian vanishing finish, which I think is that's elusive. That's really hard, I think, for a brewer to hit.
Really delicious beer.
You can smell some red wine in there.
Yeah, you definitely get the red wine off the nose, and then pretty killer.
Let's pass this to the production crew.
I drank out of the A side, so we'll make this will find it.
The tastier side. We're gonna switch gears completely. Where that was lactic based, we're gonna go to an acetic based beer, and
somehow
reach for it.
Somehow magic.
So Impetus, that's our dark sour, and it's the first dark sour.
Oh, it's a dark sour. Oh, I love dark sours.
Do you?
What was the base beer for that one? Was it a?
No. It's solely made just for the barrels.
Oh, you're kidding.
That's the thing. All these beers, they're not like.
So you make the.
We're not diverting wort or whatever. We are making a beer to go inside of the barrels.
But not one of your existing production beers. You make a custom beer.
Specific beer.
Oh wow, that's pretty wild.
Then we should talk about production schedule headaches.
Hey, where all our beer goes in the barrels. So it's a dark sour.
It is with a huge amount of acetic vinegar. Right, acetic acid. And don't get me wrong, I think it's balanced. It's not
no, people don't realize, again, these sours are, we talked about earlier, the pH goes down to 3, and you said 2.8 even.
2.8, yeah.
These, it's just such a, totally different.
Yeah.
Totally different than the last one. It's almost like a weird, almost cola, like this really...
Cola?
Cola, sweet cola.
Yeah.
Oh. Wow.
Boom.
It doesn't taste. Holy cow. So that's the acetic.
So where that one was a sour beer, this one is a really sour beer.
Yeah, this is like pretty crazy.
I would love to tell you we nailed this one the first time we tried it. No. This was our third go around at this. And, because we learned with the first two.
Right.
And then we finally hit something that we really, really thought was awesome.
But it's funny because the nose doesn't. Nose gives you no hint, and then you try.
There's a hint of acetic in there.
There.
Like maybe some really nice balsamic, like aged balsamic.
Yeah. No, there is. I'll make this one magically disappear too. But wow, it'll magic like this. This is not. Like I said, I've had some sours, and that is.
It's intense. So there's a legend to understanding our beer names. Believe it or not.
A legend.
A legend, if you will. And so if they are Greek versus Latin versus English or whatever, they all have a different story to tell.
They're sort of like a...
Yeah, and so, we will do Saccharomyces only fermentations. Those are English. If they include all Brett's, wild bugs, all that stuff, it's all, bacteria, Brett's. But if it's just Brettanomyces, that's Greek.
So I noticed that someone had that off camera and they're coughing because it's so powerful. It is.
I was looking at you and I was like, "Why are you laughing? I'm trying to tell a story here."
I was sorry, because someone's coughing off camera. I'm not saying who, but that's like the legend to your beers. So Brett is Greek. Mm-hmm. English is Saccharomyces. Mm-hmm. And Latin is
all of it.
All of it. Okay. These beers are incredible. I usually pick a favorite. It's almost impossible today because I love the picture of all these empties and glasses and half-drunk things.
Do you want more beers to help you decide?
I don't need more fuel for the fire, so to speak. I think probably maybe the Hog Heaven. It's interesting because, like I said, I had it once before. I don't think probably for me, I didn't appreciate beer as much as I do now. Now that I have it, I really smell it and I taste it. I go, wow, it's so interesting.
It's such a simplistic recipe too.
We got to say cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Prost. Na zdrowie. Na zdrowie.
Zdrowie.
thanks, folks. Bear with us. We got some beers to deal with. You know, come to Avery and check out the tap room because you'll never be disappointed.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Come say hello.
Thanks.